Hi, this is Maxi from Xbox Germany, and welcome to this very, very special episode where we are celebrating International Women's Day. So, first of all, thank you to Larry for making this show truly international by letting me host this episode and talk to amazing women of Xbox. A little few words to myself. I'm sitting in Munich. I live in Germany. This is my living room, so my home office, and I am with Xbox for 5 years now, looking after marketing activities for the German speaking area, which is Austria, the beautiful Switzerland, and of course, Germany. And I love International Women's Day because this is all about celebrating women all around the world. And just a little fun fact, Berlin is actually the city slash state who has decided to make International Women's Day a public holiday for 2 years. So all these guys and girls out there in Berlin, they have a free day today, and I'm a little bit jealous. And today we're spotlighting some awesome women and their work from Team Xbox and our studios. And I'm super excited to kick this off with Gabby, who is a producer at Turn 10 Studios. Hey, Gabby, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning. How's everyone doing?
Good
I'm
morning.
great.
Yeah, for me it's afternoon or almost evening. For
Or
you, it's
that's true.
morning. So
I
that's
know.
the
You would think I'd
international
get
day.
used to
So
doing that, when working with people from different parts of the world, but it's still, I think I'm not a morning person, so I'm still like waking up and I'm like, everyone wants to
it's
be waking up right
totally
now too,
fine.
right?
Yeah. So I hope you have your coffee, but this is a
Oh
total
yeah.
relaxed conversation. And you are a producer at Turn 10 Studios. So what does that exactly mean? What do you do there?
Yeah, great question. So yes, I've been working on Turn 10 for almost 3 years, like 2.5. And I work for the tools and tech art team. So I'm responsible for making sure that everyone understands what we need to do. What is the plan? Why are those our goals? When do we need to do that by? And making sure that everyone has what they need in order to succeed. And these two teams are responsible for building the tools that are internal to our studio so that our artists can get all of their beautiful work into our game.
And what did you do before? How long? You said, I think 3 years you're now with Turn 10?
Almost, yeah. Before that, I used to work in Xbox on various parts of the platform team. So I was on an incubation team, and then I moved to a social experiences team where we shipped stuff like updates to the messaging app or the friends list. And then I worked in privacy for a little while, and then moved to Mixer, and then finally landed in Turn 10.
And what would you say, how, when you started out your career in gaming, especially as a woman in gaming, like how was your experience? Was that what you always wanted? Did it come up later? Or was that a dream that came true?
Well, for me, it was actually kind of an accident. So originally, I studied computer science at UC San Diego, and my professor, Dr. Beth Simon, was really big on computer science education and empowering women within computer science to, succeed. And she would always encourage us to go to career fairs. So one year I went and got an internship and then as like an explorer intern, and then later I interned at Amazon for a little while. And then I was like, you know what, being a dev was cool. I learned a lot, but I want to try to be a program manager. And so I applied to Microsoft again. And during the interview loop, I realized that it was for Xbox, and I was like, "Oh no! Like they're never gonna hire me because I'm not a gamer." So I like fessed up to
Oh,
one of the interviewers who happened to be the hiring manager, and I was like, "Hey man, look, it's not. I'm not a gamer. I don't own a console. Like, is this gonna be a problem? If it is, it's cool. I understand. Do what you gotta do. But it'd be really great to get a different interview loop if that's the case." And he was like, "Oh no, don't worry. Like you've shown that you have great skills that we could really, leverage here in the team. And besides, we're going to give you a console to take home so you get familiar with the product and the users and all of this stuff. So don't worry, you're going to be fine." And I was like, "All right, I'll let you know." And that's how I got in to Xbox. And after a few years, one of my friends asked me to build a game with him for the 1 week hackathon that Microsoft has internally. And I was like, "Dude, like, why do you want me to be your producer? I don't like play games or like really get it. But he's like, first of all, being a producer, is the same thing as what you do in your day job. So like putting that worry aside, right? Because I still didn't know what a producer did. And then second, if like what else are you doing on your free time is what he was saying, that's more fun
Mhm.
than building a game. And I was like, oh, I hate you. You're right. Let's do it. And I had so much fun, and I didn't understand why I had so much fun building a game when I didn't like I hadn't found a game that spoke to me. And turns out that after further reflection, I was like, of course I would love this. It combines culture, art, and technology in one thing, and I love that. So since then, I
Perfect.
decided I want to be a producer, and then that's how I eventually got here.
I love what you're saying because, especially for women, when they look at the gaming industry, and as you said, you're not like particularly a gamer, it doesn't mean that you cannot be a part of this industry. Like you're
Mm,
still welcome. There are tons of jobs you can pursue and go to, and your skill set is super
yes.
valuable. And it doesn't have to be a 1 million gamer score on your account to be part of our community. Although I
Yeah,
like
don't
it.
look up my gamer score. It's terrible. No,
Oh,
I
no
completely
worries, no
agree.
worries.
There's so many
So,
different types of jobs,
yeah.
and I honestly never would have realized the like breadth of that until I worked here. So there's a job for everyone in
But
gaming.
as you said, oh, that's a very good sentence. I like that. You said you had your professor that was empowering you and yourself. I was a little bit stalking you on LinkedIn. Apologies because we haven't
Yeah,
met each other
it's cool.
before,
It's cool.
maybe in person. And I also saw that you're part of Xbox Culture Team and that you are empowering yourself, women, and the community at Xbox, especially the Latinx community. What exactly does that mean? Because it says, leadership or team lead for Latinx Xbox.
Oh, I should update that. No, yes. Yeah, so that means has meant a lot of different things over the years. But presently, I'm one of the leaders of the Latinx community, which is a part of G4E, which is Gaming for Everyone. And that's an initiative that aims to make sure that Xbox is a place that everyone can have fun gaming. And but what does that actually mean for this community? Well, it's a number of things. But to summarize it, because I could talk about this all day, it's
Yes,
basically
please.
a way for us to empower, people from the Latinx community, either internally or externally, to enter into gaming, the industry, and succeed once they're here, right? So internally, that has manifested in different ways, like especially like in the pandemic. I'm thinking, what did we do recently? So we've had
Sure.
we created or gave out masterclass codes to the people
Mhm.
in our community so that they could watch the different classes, and that will hopefully help them with their professional development journey. Externally, we used to host a GDC event every year, and so that's kind of not the same now, but we will be at GameStack Live hosting, having a panel of Latinx gaming professionals from within Xbox sharing their career paths. And then we'll also be having group mentorship available. So you could join a call with someone like myself, and you might be like, hey, I'm really interested in becoming a producer someday, or what does that even mean, and all that stuff. So it's an opportunity for us to also share our knowledge back out to the community, and invite more people to see what are all of those jobs, right, that they could be doing, and ask questions directly to professionals who have done that. So again, it's about building that community, providing professional development, and also extending that knowledge out to our game dev community, and the world.
And that, I mean, you're doing that on top of your normal day work, right? Because it sounds like a lot.
Yes. Yes, it is a
It's
lot.
the volunteer
Yeah.
fund. It is important, but it's just, I like to call it out because it's not like your daily job. You do that on your kind of not free time, but still free time. Yeah.
Sort of, actually. So,
Yeah.
in recent years, it's actually become part of my like annual commitments to what I will be doing for my
Oh,
job.
cool.
So I believe it's supposed to be about like 20% of my work time, is dedicated to this. Of course, it ends up being more, and I do some of that stuff on my own time as well, because I really care about it. But what one of my favorite things about working in Xbox and Turn 10 specifically too is that there has been this shift I've seen since I started to now, where like diversity and inclusion initiatives or commitments are, they're real and they are supported by
Mhm.
various people. It's not just people on the ground like me being like, hey, I'm building this game, but also I'm doing this thing on the side. It's also, my studio head, like Alan Hartman, is the executive sponsor for I'm gonna get the name wrong, but the Gamers and Disabilities Group. And
Mhm.
like, so he is, involved himself. It's not just lip service, it's showing up and doing the work too, and providing feedback and guidance and ideas, and then bringing that back into a leadership team, in the gaming leadership team, to say, hey, like, have we thought about our gamers with disabilities, and what are we doing to support them? And same goes, for people like me saying, hey, studio people, I really need money to attend, GDC, or, like, what was the one that I did? PAX South in Austin. And, we're
Oh, nice.
hosting like a Latinx, like 3-day event. And, I could pay for it out of my own pocket, but it'd be really great if you could sponsor me. And they'd be like, of course, this is really important to us. And it's important to our business and
Nice.
our culture and our values. So, like, here's the money, go, let us know what else we can do. And it's just really nice to have that support, like all the way up the ranks.
Are you guys doing something for International Women's Day as well from Turn 10? I think last year I saw like a picture on Twitter where
Yes, I
all
believe we
the
are. I mean, I don't know what
developers,
are all the things we're doing. But
yeah, that's
yeah, so
totally
I
fair.
know that, so Jen Lane, Jennifer Lane is the one of the co-leads of the Women in Gaming group, and she's a part of Turn 10 as well. And so I know that she's
Perfect.
had like been sending a bunch of different events. Like, she's just amazing, and been coordinating a lot of stuff both within the studio, like within Xbox and externally. So I couldn't list them all out myself. There were so many, but I know that for Forza, we did record a Forza monthly, let's see, interview, kind of like
Hmm.
this, earlier this week. So that,
Yeah.
I believe, was airing on Monday, March 8th. Yes. So there will be a little bit of extra representation there as well. So on top of other things,
Perfect.
I'm sure.
What does this day, like International Women's Day, mean to you?
Yeah, great question. For me, it means two things. One is it's an opportunity to celebrate all of the women that have paved the way for people like me to be where I am today. But it also is a reminder that there's still work to be done. You know, um,
Yeah.
I think in my perfect world, this day wouldn't exist. And I say that because in that perfect world, women would be seen as strong and valuable and intelligent contributors to society every day, not just, during the month of March or during March 8th or whatever, and that's not to say that that's exactly the reality we live in, right? But um, let me give you an example. So, a few months ago, I saw this article, and I forget the specifics, but it was an article headline, and it said something like two scientists win Nobel Prize in chemistry, and their
Hmm.
photo showed two women. And what struck me about that headline was that it didn't say two women win the Nobel Prize or two women scientists win the Nobel Prize. It was two scientists, right? And
Perfect.
it was so awesome, and I'm totally gonna get emotional about it, but like it was incredible to me that they were actually recognized for their work before they were recognized as women, right? It was their science first, their scientists, that title, their work, and also they happen to be women, right? It was but the focus was still on their work. So, in the future, even if we have a holiday to, like, extra celebrate it, cool, that's fine. I'm all for that. Who doesn't like a day to, celebrate? But I hope that someday it feels obsolete or unnecessary to even have that, because it's just the thing that we do every day, right?
I love so much what you're saying. I have the same thoughts on the women in gaming events, like around Gamescom, for example, here in Germany, or any other events when you have like conventions or even like Comic Cons. There's always like a women in gaming event, which I love. It's great to connect, but at the same time, I wish that my grandchildren or whatever their children would ask me like, what is a women in gaming event, like what is that, why did you need that?
Yeah,
That's the goal, the big one. So I really
exactly.
appreciate what you're saying, and I do understand also like social days like International Women's Days are awesome, and of course you should be targeting your activities throughout the whole year. And for myself, I'm treating them kind of like a, like I don't know, like a name day or a birthday. So it's just a special day that you're celebrating. But at the end, I mean, we're here for all the other days as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like
uh,
with people that you love, you are so glad that they're around and and like part of your life every day, and but maybe like you need an annual reminder to be like, oh yeah, just so you know, I'm super glad that you were born and you're a part of my life and this is great, but I totally agree with you.
so one of my last question would be, what would be the advice you would give your younger self in terms of a career women in tech advice?
Yeah. Oh man, so much advice. Um,
Pick your
yeah, where to
favorite.
start? I
I
mean,
know
for
it
me
could be so many.
personally, oh yeah, there's a lot. Yeah. For me personally, whenever I'm asked this question, I think about what held me back in the past. There's of course, a number of um, what do you call it, systemic and structural issues, right, that are keeping women out of the gaming industry or many male-dominated industries. But I think that doesn't mean that we are powerless as women in how that plays out in our own lives. So again, kind of going back to what do I have control over, right? I will hold the like systems and like leadership teams accountable and successful people accountable for making sure that they're doing what they can to change those things so that I or others don't have to go through the struggles that I've been through. But
Mhm.
again, what is within my control? And for me, I always have the voice that is fear, right? Fear both of failure and success. And whenever there's something I really want to do, like I want it with every fiber in my being, it's so easy for me to make an excuse as to like to not do it, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, oh, like I don't have those skills yet, or oh, I don't have, I'm like so busy and I just don't have the time outside of work to like work towards that thing, or I don't know anyone who has that type of job that I want that's gone through my exact like has my background or has gone
Mhm.
my same struggles, whatever, like I don't even know if I'd like it in the end. But, the moment I take a step towards that dream, those voices have less power. And
Mhm.
I am objectively closer to achieving that thing and to determining, if it's the thing that I want to do and, making that dream a reality. So again, in a male dominated industry, nothing is really designed for you as a woman, which can sometimes make the voices say, like, see, I told you you'd never make it, or like, just wait, like, give it a few more months and they're going to find out that you don't belong here or whatever. But, that's why
Mhm.
I think it's really important to find mentors in your industry that can give you both, like we call it like a chancletazo, like, all right, like, get to work, like, like, stop, put making excuses for yourself, like just
Yeah.
and do something, and stop procrastinating, get to work. And then you also get the bendición, which is kind of like the inspirational comfort of, like, hey,
Mhm.
like it's okay, like I understand that this is hard and it shouldn't be this hard or whatever, but like look at all the things you've accomplished and look at what you can do and look at how amazing you are, so reminding you that you are capable of doing what it takes to succeed. And so I think that we as women can seek out opportunities that will help us, gain the skills that we don't have yet. We can seek out the mentors that will give us the chancletazo and the bendición, and ultimately, affect the things that we can, and but also hold accountable the systems and the people who have the power to change, those more longer term issues that we face.
That are beautiful words, and you're like nailing it, especially for International Women's Day. Challenge yourself,
Oh,
challenge also others, the system, to make this a better place for women. And I want to thank you so much for your time. Also, just thanking you for the extra time you put in yourself to help and empower others. And I can't wait to meet you in person someday.
thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to meet you too.
Shining light on some more awesome women at Xbox. I'm super happy to introduce you guys to Sahar, and you are working on one of the most successful gaming franchises, and that is Minecraft. And I believe you're almost 10 years at Microsoft. Is that true?
That is correct. Yeah, 10 years coming up in a few months.
Oh, wow. Do you get like, I think you get a special prize, right? With 10 years? I don't know. Is it a pen?
Well, I hope
Like,
so. I hope so. After 10 years, I think
you
it's a
should get
crystal,
everything that you
hopefully.
want. Oh, the crystal. I remember that. That's like
Yeah.
this. For you guys who don't know it, it's like I think after 5 or 10 or 20 years, you get like this crystal. Yeah, which with a nice note. So it's cool. It's nice.
Yeah.
But you work at the Minecraft franchise. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that exactly is? What you do there? What you're in charge of?
Yeah, sure, Maxine. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. On the Minecraft team, I lead. I'm the director of Minecraft websites, so that includes, your main Minecraft.net site, as well as education.minecraft.net, as well as some of our other smaller sites. But that really is about showcasing the Minecraft brand, as well as being the gateway to all things Minecraft, right? Introducing players to Minecraft, the franchise, as well as creating discovery around our products, engaging and amplifying our community, as well as being the gateway to commerce, and basically their profile experiences. So very much, looking sort of from a taking a player through the journey, or their own journey through the web presence.
How long have you been doing that at Microsoft? Like not the full 10 years, right?
No. Minecraft, it will be 4 years. So at I've had various roles at Microsoft. Gaming, Minecraft was my very first venture, and I'm so glad for it. And it very much, uh, you know, speaks to sort of, you know, like the value that Minecraft brings in the life of a player, and the skill sets that it brings. It very much resonates to my core, and so I think it's been a great choice. But have had also at Microsoft a very sort of variety of different roles, and that's really been greatly rewarding.
So when you have these different roles at Microsoft outside of gaming, like how did like the role when it came up, how did you get into gaming? Did you just say, okay, I really want to work for gaming, or it just popped up and you were like, okay, I try it? How was that?
Yeah, it's funny. I wasn't a like I used to casually game, but I wasn't like gaming wasn't sort of the thing that I said, oh yeah, I'm absolutely going to go seek out gaming roles. But as I started looking into you know, like had a couple of sort of informationals within the gaming org, I really started realizing that I had more in common with the gaming industry than I honestly initially from the outside looked in and thought I did. Um, you know, uh, Having a sort of a 7-year-old and today in my life, and being in gaming, and in Minecraft, right? Like it really is. I have this, I have a child at home who I really learned through his eyes, Minecraft, and seeing his journey, and the value really that it does bring into a player's life. That's really what I wanted a deeper meaning in a role, and I really found that Minecraft had that. I could make that deep connection with it, and so that's what sort of attracted me to gaming. It wasn't just gaming. I guess it was the gaming with a deeper meaning that I think really brought me to Minecraft.
I love that story. We're talking about with Gabby exactly for this before. Like, you don't have to be 100% gamer to be part of this industry, and it just proves again. I mean, I have to admit, I stalked you a little bit on LinkedIn as well, because we didn't meet each other before, and I saw so many great recommendations from your former colleagues. I'm so impressed. Like, you have been a mentor for so many people, and I would love for you if you could share, like, especially for women or girls who are starting out in the industry or tech. It doesn't have to be gaming, but also tech. What would you advise them if they would seek a mentorship somewhere?
Yeah, I think Minecraft, if I think of overall, actually, Microsoft, obviously, women are rising up within the company, but as you sort of think of, overcoming those hurdles that you see along the way, I think mentorship is a really important tool along the way. And I think mentorship can come in various different ways. It can come from oftentimes people, when they say they're looking for mentors, they may be looking for advocates, or they may be looking for guidance, right? And so it's really important that you're clear in your head around what type of guidance you actually need. Do you need guidance, or do you need advocacy? And I think identifying mentors that can help you with one or the other, and can really be the champion for you in whatever you need, I think is the key. Because oftentimes I think getting to that state of clarity in your own mind is really where you can derive the greatest value, and also help seek out the best mentors, as well as have the mentors be helpful to you, as you seek their help. And I think so. I think that's the first step I would recommend anyone taking is to go on a journey of perhaps self-reflection. And oftentimes, the way that I've sort of done that is listing out the 5 top things I value at home and 5 top things I value at work, and prioritizing that to top 3, and then saying, okay, well, if I'm thinking about my next move in my career, for example, which one of these things are really important to me, and what's going to be, if I'm looking for a particular type of experience and I'm looking to balance something at home, well, how do I make sure that goes along in a harmony, right? And so I think, thinking about that in terms of what's important to you personally, I think can really add to clarity for a mentor, and helping them guide you back, in terms of sort of where to take your journey and how to go about getting where you need to get to.
That was perfect. I knew that I really wanted to ask you that question because I saw all of these great recommendations, and you answered perfectly. Those are great advice if you're really seeking a mentorship. So I can totally relate to that. And I understand you also have a background on educating also younger women, and also wanted to ask you, you live in Redmond, right? Do you empower that, or I don't know, create programs in the US area, or you're more going internationally as well?
Yeah, good question. So, I obviously live in the Seattle area in Kirkland now, and very much so my horizon for sort of, if I think of my personal passion, that's women's education. And very much I look at it more on an international basis, because I didn't grow up in this country. I grew up in Pakistan. And so my horizon, I guess, of the world that I seek to impact is bigger than bigger than I guess just a United States or the Western part of the world, but very much the impact that we both at Minecraft as well as the like outside of Minecraft I personally can have is very much on a global scale.
So were you born in Pakistan and then came to the US, and you still have contact? Are there programs in Pakistan from education to women that you're still participating in?
Yeah, so yeah, good question. So as far as I grew up there, like I mentioned, I moved here when I was 18 years old. So I very much spent like a very beautiful childhood, frankly, in Pakistan. And you know, as I moved here, I recognize my, you know, and having gone through great U.S. education, colleges when in grad school, and then obviously a great career. You know, I look back and think about my privilege very much so, right? And I was fortunate enough that I had the socioeconomic means to even acquire a great education and be here today. But there's lots of people that lots of women in particular that don't have those means and don't have the ability to perhaps challenge the societal norms and you know, advance from their means. And so you know, that impacting you know, now looking back, I think, you know, and recognizing my privilege, my siblings and I are very much now focused on a organization or a nonprofit organization. We're just about getting it off the ground to help advance women's education, and really, it's more of their. It's going to start off by being focused on Pakistan, but it will be. It will very much be focused on sort of eliminating barriers from the early childhood all the way through you know, advanced education. And so how do you sort of provide them the financial means, but also giving them the mentorship required to perhaps advance, right? Sometimes you know, that encouraging voice, as well as a voice of what's the next right step to take next, can make all the difference in the world. And so so really thinking about it holistically as to how we can support girls' education and really being there through the entire journey.
Well, we've seen your social handle before, so if anybody is interested in that NGO that you're planning at some point, I bet we can learn about that on your channel then in the future.
And, absolutely, yeah. As we get it off the ground, I'll be sure to share it more broadly.
Perfect. As we have International Women's Day right now, I'm not sure if you are aware if if the Minecraft team does anything around that day, if you're doing anything around that day. Yeah.
So Minecraft is, you know, obviously we very much think that social impact is an important component of our brand. And so as part of the International Women's Day, we are going to be launching a lessons for girls' right to education, sharing Malala's story. And then there will also be other lessons around fighting women's rights to vote in the British suffragettes movement. And so there is lots of, I guess, you know, Minecraft is continually innovating for driving greater social impact, and International Women's Day is certainly a key milestone in that journey. And I'm super excited about it, in particular about the lessons that are about to launch, because and especially the partnership with Malala. Obviously, it has a personal connection with Malala being from Pakistan, but very much so excited to see the impact that it drives, because STEM education in particular, you know, has the great power to really lift and change people's lives, and in particular where there are societal norms that prevent women perhaps from engaging in public social STEM education in particular is one that can really, sort of be the equalizer, not just in terms of economic opportunities, but also economic opportunities in the societal context where a lot of these roles can actually be done from home, right? And so and you educate, once you sort of give women economic empowerment, they also find their voice. They're greater contributors in society, and they also take care of their of their next generation, right, and ensure that they are also on the path of success. So there's just multiple rewards, I guess, realized from STEM education. And especially in context of other parts of the world where societal norms can sometimes prevent other types of economic engagement.
Yeah, I think, and especially as also you said, with the pandemic and kids staying at home and being able to have access to these lessons is so valuable. And I just have to, because I live in Germany and we're a little bit behind when it comes to digitalization in the education sector. But I think it's so great that the Minecraft team also on Black History Month had so many lessons coming out, which gives you a new way of approaching this. And so thank you so much for all you guys' works on it. And I mean, even with the website and everything, it's a whole team that brings this games, I mean, it's two different versions, alive. So I asked this, Gabby, before, the guest before, and I want to ask you the same question. What would you give yourself as an advice, like your younger self, when you first started out your career in the tech industry?
Yeah, a great question. I think I'd tell myself maybe three things. One is to be bold but kind, finding your voice, making sure that your ideas are heard, and but yet being kind along the way, and that kindness is one of those things that I think keeps you grounded and keeps everyone else also listening. And I think it's important to not only be bold with your ideas, but be bold in a way that people can listen to it. And I think so that would be the very first advice I'd give myself, and I think I've learned that along in my journey, in my career journey, both in terms of finding my voice, but also doing it in a way that that can find the greatest impact. I think the second thing I'd say is, taking risks and seeking out mentors. And so there's oftentimes when you take risks is really when memories and milestones are created in your life, and you can look back, and really those are the moments in time that you remember in your life. And so taking those risks, whether you fully succeed in it or achieve the exact goal that you wanted to, but they're oftentimes when you struggle through it and when you take that risk is really what you remember. And finding the mentors along in that journey, I think, you will find lots of people saying no to your ideas, but there will be some people who will say yes, and your ability to listen to the people that say no, and actually refining your ideas based on the feedback that you receive, but then also charging forward and getting to and finding a way and getting to that yes, I think can really be a valuable exercise to go through, in both refining your ideas as well as just grit, in terms of being able to achieve your goals. And then lastly, I think I'd say that never, I guess, accepting defeat, right? A defeat is a person is defeated when you accept defeat. Everything else is just learning. So you kind of you have to remember that all the sort of milestones along the way, and sort of failures that you see are really just learnings, and we really, I would I would have told myself that the amount of time I
Mhm.
spent dwelling on some of the things that I failed on was just in hindsight weren't important at all. And so if you need time to dwell on it, just do it quickly and move on. Um, so that would be the advice I'd give my young self, because I feel like I've made several of those mistakes, certainly in my career, and I tried not to
Mhm.
repeat them, but because they have really proven themselves out over the course of time.
Oh, I love all of these advices, and I can especially relate to the last one with the mistakes, as it,
Yeah.
especially in German culture, can be okay if you have made a mistake, you really failed, and to get that
Hmm.
out of your head
Hmm.
takes a while, I would say.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your story. It's really inspiring, and I also hope that we can meet in person someday, not just via online. But I learned a lot, and I also want to especially thank you for lifting and mentoring other women. That really means the world. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Maxie. Hope I get to meet you in person as well.
And for our last guest, I have the pleasure to introduce you to Jen, who is the head of social good at Xbox and who I actually have worked with very closely in the last couple of months or weeks on exciting Xbox programs for women in gaming. So welcome, Jen. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me, Maxie. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
So, what does head of social good mean? So, what do you do exactly at Xbox?
Yeah, so my team at Xbox, we oversee the social good programming that happens across the business. And social good has a few different meanings depending on who you talk to. So we oversee the cultural campaigns. So think, Black History Month, Women's History Month. We collect all the activations across the business that teams are doing, and we centralize them and really celebrate them, both internally and externally. And we also do a lot of the charitable programs. We do oversight and help teams who are doing those to facilitate. So if you've seen any charitable fundraisers or partnerships with nonprofits, my team helps empower the rest of the business to go do those.
And before we jump into these, I mean, this is all sounds amazing. It's like best of both worlds. It's gaming and doing good. Like it sounds, yeah, like you can wake up with a smile and sleep with a smile, and game and doing something good. But before we jump into like the program specifically that you do, especially for International Women's Day, how long have you been with Xbox? How long have you been in the gaming industry? Would love to know a bit more about you.
Yeah, so the answer is one and the same. My entrance into the gaming industry was my entrance into Xbox. And so I have been at Xbox for just over 5 years now. I started actually on the Xbox safety team. So I was over there as a technical program manager, helping develop features for our enforcement team and enforcement features. And then after a few years on that team, I decided I wanted to go pursue gaming and social good, and there was no role. So I went and pitched it within the company to, a ton of leadership and said, hey, there's a real opportunity here. We could do some amazing work. Not really expecting anyone to do anything. And then my CVP at the time said, okay, go do it. And he made me this
No
role to go
way.
figure this out, which is, I'm so thankful to have had that opportunity and to have had someone take a bet on me and the team to go figure that out. And then in the last year, the program and myself went over to marketing and to the Xbox marketing team, and we grew to have an actual team now. And it's just so fun to be able to work across the entire holistic Team Xbox, and really just bring some amazing campaigns to life that have had some awesome real world impact.
That is so amazing because I always read about it, like when I'm looking at career advices. If that role isn't available for you in the market, just create it. But I've never met a person who actually made it that way. So I'm very progress. That's really, really cool. And it's so awesome because I've seen you working on so many cool things and you just really just mentioned some of them, but it's so much more. And it's a lot of doors that you are opening, and especially also for women in gaming. So what are one of the like programs or some of the programs you can share with us today that Xbox is doing on International Women's Day or Women's History Month actually also?
Oh, you're asking me to pick a favorite child. This is so hard.
No, you
Um,
can do more. 3, 4, 5. I don't know.
oh man. I mean, I would have to say, and I know this is the cheesy answer, but all of them. I love all of them. They're all so unique, but I'll go into a few different activations. We have two full-blown women-led esports tournaments, which I think is amazing
Nice.
to see. And I'm super excited to tune into those. I will be watching. We have, Age of Empires is actually going back and profiling women throughout history who were influential people in history, and people either may know about them or may not. And so it's both, highlighting these amazing women, but also educational. So it's kind of a win-win. Um, oh my goodness, there's just so much amazing work going on. We'll have it all centralized. There's an Xbox Wire post. You can go check that out. And we'll have an all up collection of all the different activations. And I encourage everyone to go check out all the awesome work that's happening across the business to celebrate women in gaming.
How, especially because you're like I'm so thankful because usually I work in Germany and it's not easy to connect, with all the different countries. But I've joined a lot of calls with you, and I meet like everyone from Mexico, Latam, from Australia, who always have to get up so early, and I feel so sorry. And then love you to Australia, and then but also from the UK. So many things are happening around Women's History Month or International Women's Day. What do you think? Like, what's the hardest to kind of coordinate all of these together, or do you say like, okay? Make suggestions for UK, or do you just ask them, hey, could you bring me that information? I just spread it everywhere.
I usually the way the team really approaches this is we don't like mandating, and I'm
Mhm.
not a huge fan of mandating, hey, we're doing this here and you need to go do this in your market or where you're at, because that may not work. And so what we've done as a team, Maxi, obviously you are a lead in the Europe region. We have a lead in the UK, we have a lead in Australia, and we have a lead in Latam. And the approach we've taken and the approach that we really like is, hey, what are you doing that's authentic to you and your region? And, tell us about it. And we'd like to elevate that and celebrate it really across the world, because I'm just not a fan of trying to make one thing work across
Mhm.
multiple different places, because there's multitudes of reasons why it won't work. And it's more authentic. And so that's how we really approach these things. And it's been interesting, specifically with Women's History Month and International Women's Day, because we have this month, but then there's also this day in the middle of it. And it's been a lot of work, as you and I have been on calls pretty frequently in the last few months or so. But it's a challenge, and it's exciting, and it's rewarding, and it's so amazing to see, like the project you're working on and the projects that Australia are working on, and then how we can weave this cohesive narrative together to really celebrate the moment and really celebrate authentically across the world. It's so exciting to see.
Yeah, like you said, Women's History Month. I mean, it's I think in the US, in Canada, and in Australia. But for example, I mean, we pick it up a little bit in Germany, but not everywhere. Like France and Spain, I don't think it's that much relevant. International Women's Day is. I just told earlier it did actually became a public holiday in Berlin, just in Berlin though. But it's great. I know,
Um,
I know, it's so great for 2 years now. And for that, like I really love and appreciate that. I know that from the UK, for example, Charlie, she's a host for Xbox on there doing like this podcast series, which is really great.
mhm.
And I also love how they approach it, like saying we want to do this like maybe we start around March, but it's going to be a continuous series because it's like every day, like women in
Mhm.
gaming is every day. you know. And
Yep.
the same with, I think, we have so many great women at Xbox. Nashla from Team Mexico, Team Latam. It's amazing. I always love to meet her. I feel so. It makes me sad when we can't travel, like last year, meet at E3, for example, to meet her. But she's doing great work there, and I appreciate that it comes together through you, and you like bring us together and give us a voice. So it really means a lot that we can do this work. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. Also, like, thank you to
No,
your
thank
amazing work.
you. Oh, thank you. It's to your point, I love the work that this team does, and I love the work that we do even globally because we've been a year into this pandemic at this point, and we've been working from home. My office is literally just in the building in which I live, and so it's a great
Yeah,
reminder and a great opportunity to remind all of us that we're all still in this together. And even though we are far apart and can't see each other every day in person, we can still have the opportunities to really come together and celebrate together and remind ourselves that there's this big giant world out there, and once this whole pandemic is under control or things start opening back up, we'll be able to be in person again. And so it's been really good as a reminder of like, hey, yes, I'm stuck at home. I've been home for a year
yeah.
with me and my 4 pets, but there's also like we'll all come together at some point.
So just because I'm not sure if you guys, when you show full screen, if you saw it, but I have to ask it, just a question. What's the duck? What is the story behind it? Because it's so permanently looking at you, and I think if I don't ask it, the fans will definitely ask in the chat.
He's the goose from Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Because I wasn't sure. I wanted to. I see Ori in the background. Is that Ori? Or I'm not sure up there. No, it's not
Yeah,
Ori.
Ori's up there. We
But
have Dog Meat from
right. Okay.
Fallout. Ori
Oh,
again. I'm
perfect.
clearly a fan.
So, what is your
Yeah,
favorite
the
game
the
that you're
goose,
playing
he
right
has a
now?
magnetic beak, but unfortunately,
Oh,
his
really?
leg's a little broken, so I don't want to break his legs, so he's pretty now. He just sits there.
But he's watching us. I can see him, like how he's watching in the camera. So, what is
Oh
your,
yeah,
just
he's
just
watching us.
because we're talking about, what is your current favorite game that you're playing then?
Oh man, I'm playing a few, and it really depends on my mood. I played the medium, but I made the mistake of starting it at night, which I will never make that
Ah,
mistake again because that game it's amazing, but do not play it at night. So that one was good. That is good. I actually played PUBG every Friday for
oh, cool.
probably five hours with a squad of mine. We've been playing it for 3-ish years, and it's just fun because it's a way to kind of unwind after a work week. But
Mhm.
also, I'm getting back into Skyrim too. So it really depends on how I'm feeling and what kind of game I need at the moment. And RimWorld is also a classic. I That game is just so fun.
It is, but yeah, PUBG, I understand it totally. I'm playing a lot of Call of Duty right now, but
Hmm.
also Among Us. I don't know. It's the most fun game to play with friends.
Such a
And if
good game.
you, I know it's amazing how good people can lie. It will, like, also your friends. It really scares me sometimes, but
Oh yeah, I
it's a
feel like it's
game.
just going to perpetuate some trust issues. Like my
It
brother,
does.
him and
I
his
did
friends
not know.
play. Seriously, they play Among Us. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to come play with us?" I'm like, "No, I know how you can lie. I don't want to get it. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that."
Honesty. It's all about honesty. But talking about honesty, like how, especially with you in that role, and you do that on your daily life for Xbox as well. How do you feel things have changed for women in gaming, like over the last years?
Over the last few years, I mean, Xbox has done, we're always learning. We're always on this path to becoming, we're intentionally inclusive and we're always in the space of learning. But we have, in the before times, we would have events for women in gaming, and, it's an internal employee group. And, we'd have Galentine's Day, which we have had to move digital this year. And just there have been a lot of processes put in place for women in gaming. Like there's been official mentorship programs that people can get involved with. There's book clubs. And I'll have to say, we have roundtables where we all kind of come together, and it's kind of refreshing because we'll have, meetings where and my team is figuring out social good. And then we'll have meetings as women in gaming. And for the first 5 minutes, we're sharing dry shampoo hacks and our best favorite, dry shampoo. So it's just really fun to have kind of that opportunity to connect at that level as well.
Oh, is the hack like putting dry shampoo on your wet hair?
No, I mean, for me, no. It's more like, hey, what's your favorite brand? What's your favorite type? How do you put it in? Like, how do you leave it? Like, I'm an impatient person, so they always say put it in and leave it, and I never do, and then it doesn't always work.
Well, that's my hack. Putting it in your dry hair before you dry your hair, really helps a lot as well. But anyway, the thing I really want to appreciate and that you guys don't see out there, because of Jen being in there, like for example, when we think of different activities and campaigns in Germany or others in the market like France, Italy, Spain, Nordic, Sweden, or Russia, and so on, we are doing it not alone. So we can use these groups, especially these feedback groups, and they're so valuable, to come in and ask for feedback. And I'm just saying it, they're so valuable because, to be honest, without them, we would have probably made so many mistakes already. Not gonna say what it would be, but it is. And this is the lucky part I feel we have with such a big structure at Xbox, because we have these resources, and Xbox is paying attention to them, because otherwise you can see that, mistakes can happen. And as you say, it's a journey. Everybody's learning. We are learning. Every other company is learning around that. But I just want to say, these feedback groups and taking the time to get feedback on whatever you're doing and the perspective is 100% valuable. I'm so thankful we can do that and are privileged to do that in the Xbox space. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The intersectionality is awesome. And we've used it for Women's History Month, International Women's Day, all the different campaigns we've worked on, and just the fact that everyone is so invested in driving intentional inclusion across the business. I know I'm literally repeating everything you just said, but I just want to echo it because it is so awesome and important.
So one of my questions that I did ask the other two women that joined this podcast today is, what would you give yourself as an advice, like your younger self, when you just started out the career, either in tech or in gaming?
Oh, geez. I saw you ask this and I thought about it, and I don't know that I could pick one, so I may pick a few. But, taking the time to, when you have done a project or you have done a program, take a moment to really celebrate that. I know I am my own worst critic. For example, one of the first things I ever did for social good and Xbox was I created an esports tournament for internal employees to raise money just for a few nonprofits that were local. There's this whole event in October called the Give Campaign, which is where Microsoft encourages employees to go interact with and engage with nonprofits. We've had events like making blankets for shelter pets, which we always bring in a cat or a dog because you obviously have to bring in QA. And that's obviously the reason you bring them on, not because everybody wants to hold kittens at work. But we had this esports tournament, and we turned the whole atrium of the building into an esports arena. And it was amazing. And it also had cheese plates, which is important. But I remember toward the end of it, Phil Spencer, we had him show up as a speaker. And when he was off stage, he was like, "Hey, Jen, great work." And I was like, "Thanks. I'm really excited for how we can improve it next year." He's like, No. Take a moment and enjoy the success in this.
That's true.
And then in a week or two, think about how you want to improve it. But if you don't take that moment to recognize it, that's crucial. It's a crucial step. So I would say that's probably one of them. And then one of the things I think, people talk a lot about mentors, but I don't really hear a lot about sponsors. And so a mentor is
Mhm.
different than a sponsor. A mentor will teach you skills, but a sponsor will actually speak up for you when you're not in the room. And so it's very important to have both. Um, I've been very intentional about finding both mentors and sponsors. Sometimes they're one and the same, but having people who will, like, oh, Jen does this, like we should have her go work on this. And that's how I ended up producing the 2 Special Olympics esports tournaments. Well, me and my team, we produced those, but it was, hey, Jen's done an esports and social good thing. Let's have her go do this. And those are selfishly some of my favorite projects that we've ever brought to life because they're so groundbreaking and just amazing events. So yeah, I'd say those are probably the that's the advice I would give. And also, don't be afraid to chase your dreams. Social good has always been really important to me as a person. And
Mhm.
having, some of my earliest memories are video gaming because I had an older brother. So I didn't get dolls or anything because he needed a player too. So probably I I probably could have or wanted to maybe pursue social good and gaming earlier, not because I didn't love what I worked on. I absolutely love everything I've done at Xbox, but it took me a while to be like, can I go do this? Can I not? And then finally I just hit this point of I'm gonna go do it and see what happens. And so just chasing your dreams. And when one door closes, that doesn't mean it's gone. It just means several more doors have opened and you have to go find them.
I love that last sentence, and I just want to say I'm still thinking about you, where you said like you asked for the role to be created that you want to pursue in the passion, and if you wouldn't have asked for it, that will would probably not be here today. And you have had so a big impact with opening all of these doors because you were bold enough to ask to create this role and pursue your dreams. So I want to thank you again for that, and it really means a lot. And I can't wait for all the other social good activities that will be coming in our calendar year of 2021, and of course beyond that. So thank you so much, Jen.